option than real estate. You will also have short strategies while investing in the share markets. While shares can be volatile over a short period of time, investing in the right shares can help traders make quick profits. Now, this is, you can say, in 1800s. In 1854, the Lal Strait fixed as permanent location for the trading. Then in 1875, BSE established as the Native Share and Stock Brokers Association. Then in 1956, BSE became the first stock exchange to be recognized under the Securities Contract Act. Then in 1993, NSE recognized as a stock exchange. Then in 2000, commencement of internet trading at NSE. Commences derivative trading, index futures, and in 2000 BSE commences derivative trading. Now, earlier stockbrokers would converge around banyan trees to conduct trades of stocks. As the number of brokers increased and the streets overflowed, they simply had no choice but to relocate from one place to another. Finally, in 1854, they relocated to Dalal Street, the place where the oldest stock exchange in Asia, the Bombay Stock Exchange, is now located. It is also India's first stock exchange and has since then played an important role in the Indian stock markets. Even today, the BSE Sensex remains one of the parameters against which the robustness of the Indian economy and finance is measured. In 1993, National Stock Exchange or NSE was formed. Within a few years, trading on both the exchanges shifted from an open outcry system to an automated trading environment. Now, this shows that Indian stock markets have a strong history, yet at the face of it, especially when you consider investing in share market, it often seems like a means. But once you start, you will realize that the investment fundamentals are not too complicated. And one of the basics of investment fundamentals is financial planning. Now, what are shares? Shares are a way to own a part of the company's value. In proportion to the capital you invest, you can get ownership rights to a certain percentage in the company. For example, say you own 2% of the shares being traded in the market. So you can say that you have 2% ownership in the company. So shares are units of ownership in the company and its financial assets. It can also known as stocks, equities, scrips, etc. And after purchasing them, you will be known as a stockholder or a shareholder of the company, and you will get the voting rights in the company. Now, why do company need share? Why does a company need money from the market? So as mentioned before, when a company is scaling up, expanding its business, it will need more capital. During such times, a company can tap into the share market and offer a certain number of shares based on its market value, which investors can buy. Now, investors will be paying the company some money and in return get to be the part owners. So when the value of shares rises, the value of shares investors own rises. Investors are, however, not lending money to the company, so they are not creditors, they are the owners of the company. So these indeed share market basics for beginners, because it is essential to understand why companies need share at all. Now, how does a company list its share? If I'm asking. This is another important aspect of the share market basics is initial public offering. Now, the first time a company offers its shares to the public, it is called an IPO. Now, Securities and Exchange Board of India, our markets regulator, has laid out a few rules and regulations for a company to list its IPO on exchanges, which they must comply with before being eligible for listing. Now, there are two markets in our country. First is your primary market and secondary market. Yeah. So basically, there are two markets in Indian financial system are the money market and capital market. And money market is for the short term, while capital market is for the long term. Clear? So the regulatory body over money market is Reserve Bank of India, and for capital market, it is SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India. Under capital market, it can be further categorized like primary market, secondary market, then derivatives market. Now, primary market is the market where you are offering your securities for the first time. Yeah. And secondary market is the market where the securities are already listed on the exchanges and you are simply doing trading in those markets. Now, if I'm talking about the issue of securities, as I said that you have to launch IPO or like that. So IPO is the common thing which every student know, which every member, every person knows, whosoever has the little bit knowledge of stock market. But do you know that when we are talking about private company and when we are talking about the public company, there is a little bit difference between that. You know, private company issue their securities with the help of private placement, right issues, and bonus issue. But public company can issue their securities through private placement, right issue, bonus issue, and prospectus or public offer. Now, when we are talking about prospectus or public offer, it includes three things. First one is IPO, that is initial public offer, then FPO, further public offer, and then OFS. It is offer for sale of securities. After that, now what is SEBI? We are saying that the regulatory body over capital markets is the SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India. So when we are talking about the SEBI, it is the regulator to oversee any fraudulent transactions and activities made by any of the parties like companies, investors, traders, brokers, and the like. Now, what are stock exchanges and how many exchanges are there? Now, when we are talking about this platform, it is a place or a platform where traders and buyers come together to buy and sell goods, stocks. Now, there are two primary stock exchanges in our country. First one is the Bombay Stock Exchange, the oldest one, and the second one is NSE, National Stock Exchange. Clear? Next is, what are Sensex and Nifty? Yes, very important to know when you are talking about the basics of stock market. Can anyone tell me what is Sensex or what is Nifty? If any of the participants wants to try that, what is Sensex or what is Nifty?
Ma'am, Sensex basically the listing of the top fortune companies or the top companies, and Nifty works in terms of commodities, ma'am.
No. Anyone else? Fine, but
They
it's
are
a good try.
index.
Yeah.
They are the index of Bombay Stock Exchange, I guess.
Can you please be little louder?
They are the index of Bombay Stock Exchange, I guess, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. Yes. Which one is the index for
Yeah.
Bombay Stock? Sensex or Nifty?
Sensex.
Sensex is for Bombay and Nifty is for National Stock Exchange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sensex is for
Nifty
Bombay
is
Stock Exchange and
National.
Nifty for National Stock Exchange. So how many companies
Yeah.
are there under Sensex and how many are under Nifty? Can anyone tell?
Ma'am, Sensex
I
has
guess
30 companies and Nifty has top 50 companies.
Top 50 companies. So you have used the very right term, top 50 companies. Now, can I ask you, how can you say that the company is on the top? On what basis? They rank the
On the
company.
market
Yes?
valuation. Market
Market
valuation of the
capitalization.
company.
No. Someone also was comparing its market.
Valuation.
Capitalization.
capitalization.
Yes. The other one is right. It's market capitalization. Okay. So market capitalization is a very old concept. Now there was some amendment like 10-15 years back. Now can you tell me on what basis they rank the company? You are very much clear. Market capitalization. Okay. What was the amendment?
It's a stock price into current stocks price into the number of stocks. Number
No.
of shares.
I'm asking the criteria. On what basis they are ranking the companies under Sensex and Nifty? As you said, top 30 companies in Nifty and top 50 companies in Sensex. So what is the criteria of doing this ranking, top 50 or top? That these are the companies on the top list.
You tell me, otherwise we have to Google it.
Okay, it's free float market capitalization. Yeah, basically it is a method of calculating market capitalization of a stock market index underlying companies. For For example, if a company has issued 10 lakh shares of face value of rupees 10, okay, but of these 4 lakh shares is owned by a promoter, then the free float market capitalization is rupees 60 lakhs. You have to exclude the shares owned by the promoters of the company.
Ma'am, come again, ma'am.
I'm saying, first of all, I simply gave you one example that if a company has issued 10 lakh shares of face value of rupees 10, but out of these 10 lakh shares, 4 lakh shares is owned by the promoter. So first of all, the free float market capitalization is rupees 60 lakhs, as you have to exclude the shares owned by the promoters of the company. Fine. After then, what you have to do, how you will calculate, you can calculate it like equity price of the share and multiply it with the number of shares readily available in the market.
You mean to say what is the current price of the share? If it is
No,
now
there is
Tata.
a formula. There is a formula to calculate free float market capitalization.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this, you have to take a base year and base value.
Okay.
Yeah.
But ma'am, one thing I want to ask you that physical assets or whatever it is, if a company is having their assets and all that values something around 1,000 crore, and they have floated some share of face value 10 rupees as IPO, and 100 rupees their initial offering, something like that, and 100 shares they
What is
offered.
the difference between IPO and initial offering?
Initial offering, I'll say it's like what you can say, hypothetical example I'm giving. That
Oh,
the
no, I
asset value.
simply asked before going into free float. First you need to be very much clear with the conceptual part, the basics.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
you are
No.
saying that you are having some IPO and some initial offering. Then can you please tell me the difference between the two, IPO and initial offering?
IPO is for public. This thing buying. Anybody can buy stock from IPO.
Okay.
And initial offering, I don't know exactly, but maybe it's for limited people kind of thing. They can buy the debentures kind of thing or some
No,
investor.
both are one and the same thing. Actually, the full form of IPO is initial public offering.
Okay.
You are using the same term, just you are using abbreviation in the former part and its full form in the later part. IPOs is initial public offering, one and the same thing. You can issue now your securities can include, equity shares, preference shares, debentures, and anything. But yes, IPO's full form is initial public offering. So when I'm talking about the free float methodology, it's not based on the IPO. Free float methodology, the index is using to, calculate. So the formula is market capitalization of a stock market index के लिए हम क्या करते हैं? Equity price of the share multiplied by the number of outstanding shares.
Outstanding share means the number of shares.
The shares, outstanding shares are the shares which are readily available in the market.
Okay.
So now when I'm talking about the Nifty or Sensex, let me go through very basic that all companies who want to get listed approach either NSE or BSE or both. So all stock exchanges need equity benchmarks to signify the trend in the stock market in the best way possible. Now both BSE and NSE have hundreds and thousands of companies listed on them, but if you have to pick the top 30 stocks or look at what the bottom 100 are doing, it will be difficult for you to siphon through this huge number of companies listed. So what indices like Nifty and Sensex do is to group them together. Now Nifty 50 is a collection of the top 50 companies listed on NSE, and Sensex is a collection of the top 30 stocks listed on BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange, by way of market capitalization. And the top companies are the ones that influence the stock market the most and influence the country's economy the most. So an index with top and largest companies is the best source for how the entire stock market. These are the benchmarks. These are, you can say this is the barometer basically. Now there is also BSE 500, Nifty Mid Cap, Nifty Pharma, CNX IT, BSE small cap, and many more such indices are there. But however, Nifty 50 and Sensex are primary benchmarks as they are giving you the overview of the entire stock market of the country. Now, there are sectoral indices also like Nifty Pharma, Nifty Bank, BSE BankX, Nifty PSU, CNX IT, right? And many such sectoral indices that group the top stocks in each sector, which helps us to understand how the sector is doing. In short, indices tell us in a short, concise and easy way how is the market doing and how is that particular sector doing, so that you can take into consideration whether you will go for investment in that particular sector or not. Now, when can you conduct stock market transactions? Now, to know about the stock market basics in India, you should also know when you are permitted to buy and sell shares. The stock market business hours in India run from 9:15 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and there are a few days in the country when the stock market is shut and they are known as market holidays. A few examples are like Holi, Eid, Independence Day, Republic Day, and so on. Now, how to make money from stocks? Naturally, when you buy shares at a lower price and sell it at a higher price, you earn the capital gain. Everyone knows this. You know, buying at the cheaper and selling at the costlier price, higher price. However, there are two ways you can do this, and if you are a beginner, it is especially important for you to know the difference between stock trading basics and stock investment basics. Now, there are two ways. Stock investors and stock traders, either investing or trading. Now, first of all, when we're talking about the investing here, stock investors are those who keep their money in the stock for a longer period of time, sometimes even years. Returns are compounded over a period of time, and investors here use fundamental analysis. They look at the growth trajectory of the company because your investment literally grows with the company in the long term. And when we are looking for fundamental analysis because we are investing for a longer horizon, then in that case, we have to do three basic analyses. That is your company analysis, industry analysis, and economic analysis. Then next is the trading. Now, stock traders generally buy and sell within the same trading session. They are doing it on delivery or intraday purpose. Now, traders use technical analysis to understand which stock to invest in. They look for short and quick gains. And stock trading basics will require you to learn technical indicators like momentum, oscillators, Bollinger Bands, charts. So basically, when we're talking about the technical analysis, it is the analysis based on different charts like bar charts, candlestick charts, point and figure charts. The most common chart used for technical analysis is the candlestick charts. I hope you have seen those charts. Have you ever seen, do you know how candlestick charts look like?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, I have seen, ma'am, that, but it's difficult to understand.
Okay, so the candlestick chart shows a stick. Actually, technical analysis is itself a complete session. So that's why I haven't included those things in this. Because in technical analysis, we have various types of charts and we have various types of indicators and oscillators to study the market. Clear? And when I talk about the candlestick charts, basically that chart shows some candles instead of a line chart. In the line chart, you simply get to see one line, which is showing the momentum of the market. But in candlestick chart, it is showing in the form of candles. There is a tick on the bottom side of the candle as well as on the upper side of the candle, which is showing you the open price, closing price, then higher price and lower price. Clear? So obviously in future, if we are anytime having those sessions, I will show you the different kinds of charts and I will explain you in very depth that how to read those charts. Right? So after investing and trading, the next is, okay, how do you start trading or investing? Now you need to open a demat or trading account first. Most investment platforms and brokers these days provide you with a demat cum trading account. Trading account is used for just the transactions like buying and selling. Generally, if you are a trader, you don't really need to open a demat account, because if you are buying and selling within the same day, a trading account will suffice. Demat account is where your shares are stored in electronic forms. So generally it takes 2 working days. It is, we usually termed it in finance as T plus 2. That means the date of transaction plus 2 working days for shares to get dematerialized and transferred to your demat account. So after that, if you buy or sell your share, it gets debited or credited from your account. Converting physical shares into electronic form is known as dematerialization. 90s, you have shares in physical forms. Now, if I'm asking that what's the process known, if I'm saying that we are converting electronic forms of shares into physical shares, process is known as conversion of physical shares into electronic form is dematerialization. Now, conversion of electronic shares into physical form is known as what? Anyone wants to try? One? It's rematerialization. Okay, fine. Now, are there any taxes? Yes, taxes are applicable to the gains you make from your stock market transactions. A brief of how much you will be taxed, we can discuss, but long-term capital gains are defined as gains you make after holding your shares for a period of 1 year or more, and short-term capital gains are gains you make when you hold the shares for a period of less than a 1 year. For example, you have purchased shares today. Now, there are 2 ways of doing trading. One is your intraday and second is your delivery. So when we talk about the intraday transaction, that means that you have done the entire transaction in a single trading session. That means you bought the shares. For example, today is 3rd June, and on 3rd June you bought the shares of Reliance Limited, and on the same date you have already sold those shares before 3:30 p.m. So that trading or that transaction is known as your intraday transactions. Clear? Another is delivery. You just purchased shares on the 3rd of the June, but you didn't sell those shares because you are looking for some better pricing. You are looking for higher pricing, or you are looking for the investment purposes. So you haven't sold those shares on the same date. Then the shares will be transferred to your demat account. And the process is known as delivery. That means you have done the transaction in delivery form. Clear with the difference between intraday and delivery? Intraday, when you are completing your transaction, buying and selling both on the same, in the same trading session, and in delivery, you are buying shares on one day and selling it afterwards. Yeah? Intraday and delivery.
Right, ma'am. Clear.
Fine. Now, even in delivery, there are 2 things: long term and short term. Clear? So short term is defining as the period being less than 1 year, and if it is more than 1 year, then it will be defined as the long term capital period. So if you are earning profits, if you are earning gains from those transactions, for example, you are purchasing shares of Reliance Limited on 3rd June 2021, and you are selling these shares on 5th June 2022, and you earned a profit of 50,000 rupees. Then it will be termed as capital gains, long capital gains, and on this you have to pay the tax as per the norms. Another thing is you are purchasing shares on 3rd June 2021 of Reliance Limited, and you hold those shares on 15th Feb 2022. It will be termed, and you already gained a profit, or maybe you suffered a loss, and it will be termed as short-term capital gain or short-term capital loss. Clear?
Yes, ma'am. Is there any tax difference between the short term and long term?
It is less than 1 year or more than 1 year.
Short term, what is the tax on short term, and for long term, what is the income tax on that?
It's okay. You want to know? Okay, taxes details you have to check. I haven't disclosed those tax details for the short-term and long-term capital gains or loss.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Dear participants, we can have a separate session on question and answers. So let us first, ma'am, finish all her notes, what she wants to say. And then at the end, we can have a question answer session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, okay, fine. For short term, it is 15%, and for long term, it is 10%.
Okay, ma'am.
Next is the Indian stock market timings. Now, when we are talking about the stock market timings, now trade in the stock market can only be undertaken during a specific time interval in India. Now, retail consumers have to perform such transaction through a brokerage agency between 9:15 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. or weekdays. Most investors undertake purchase or sale of securities listed on the major stock exchanges in India, that is Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange. And Indian stock market timings are the same for both these major stock exchanges. Now, Indian stock market timings for trade are divided into three segments. That is pre-opening time. Its pre-opening session is basically 9 a.m. to 9:15, and it is furtherly divided into few parts, like the session lasts from 9 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. and orders to purchase or sell any securities can be placed during this time, and it can be further classified into three sessions. First is 9 a.m. to 9:08 a.m. During this stock market opening time in India, orders for any transaction can be placed. The order entry is given preference when actual trading begins. As these orders are cleared off in the beginning, any request placed during this time can be changed or cancelled according to need, which is beneficial to investors, and no orders can be placed after this period of 8 minutes during the pre-opening session. Then the second is 9:08 a.m. to 9:12 a.m. Now, this segment of Indian share market timing is responsible for price determination of security. Now, price matching security or price matching order is done by corresponding demand and supply prices to ensure accurate transactions among investors who want to purchase or sell a security respectively. Now, determination of final prices at which trading will begin during normal Indian stock market timing is done through multilateral order matching system. Now, price matching order plays a vital role in determining the price at which the security is transacted during a normal session of Indian stock market timing. However, benefits of modification of any order already placed is not available during the session. Then 9:12 to 9:15. Now, this time acts as a transition period between pre-opening and normal Indian share market timing, and no additional orders for transactions can be placed during this time. Also, existing bets already placed between 9:08 a.m. to 9:12 a.m. cannot be revoked as well during these 3 minutes. Then normal session from 9:15 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. This is the primary Indian share market timing lasting from 9:15 to 3:30, and any transactions made during this time follows bilateral order matching system, wherein price determination is done through demand and supply forces. Now, bilateral order matching system is volatile, thereby inducing several market fluctuations which are ultimately reflected in security prices. So, to control this volatility, the multi-order system was formulated for the pre-opening session and was incorporated in Indian stock market timings. Yeah. Then, it's a post, or you can say closing session from 3:30 to 4 p.m. Now, stock market closing time in India is marked at 3:30 p.m. and no exchange takes place after this period. However, the determination of closing price is done during this time, which has a significant effect on the following day's opening security price. So, again, this security stock market closing time in India can be divided into two sessions, that is from 3:30 to 3:40 and then 3:40 to 4 p.m. Now, closing price is calculated using a weighted average of prices at securities trading from 3 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. in a stock exchange. Like for determining the closing prices of benchmark and sector indices such as Nifty, Sensex, S&P Auto, weighted average prices of listed securities are considered. Then from 3:40 to 4 p.m., this period is post-stock market closing time when bids for the following day's trade can be placed. Now, bids placed during this time are confirmed provided adequate buyers and sellers are present in the market, and these transactions are completed at a stipulated price irrespective of changes in opening market price. So, capital gains can be realized if opening price exceeds closing price by an investor who has already placed their bids. In case closing price exceeds opening share price, bids can be cancelled during the narrow window of 9 to 9:08 a.m. The overall stock market operating time in India can be demonstrated here on your screen. So basically we divided into 3 main sessions. Then there are aftermarket orders as well. Now when we're talking about the aftermarket orders, now post this time frame, that is 4 p.m., no transaction can take place. However, investors can place aftermarket orders for securities of chosen companies which would be allocated at opening market price of the following day. Clear? Then there is one term, Muhurat trading. Now Indian stock market is generally closed for any transactions on Diwali, as it is a religious festival celebrated all across the country. However, a 1-hour trading session is conducted from 5:30 p.m. to 6:40 p.m. as it is considered to be the auspicious. Now, how can you invest in a stock market? It can only be undertaken through brokerage agencies. Specific securities can be placed online, and a stockbroker having direct investment access can transact the request with a T+2 settlement buffer period. However, due to an overall volatile nature of stock markets, investments have to be made after careful analysis of companies listed in BSE, NSE, and you can look for a good stock investing platform that provides you complete analysis of different companies as well as allow you to buy stocks with ease. Even though the market timings are from 9:15 to 3:30, securities of selected companies can be ordered even after market closure, and also trading of mutual fund NAV is conducted after market closes for the day, wherein prices are determined through final value of shares in as per closing time. Now there are 4 types of stocks: small cap, mid cap, large cap. Any other? Any other further categorization?
Small cap.
Small cap, mid cap, large cap. 3. Okay, fine. Let's see in the further slides. There is one more type of stock. Okay. So when we're talking about this small cap stock, now companies with a market capitalization less than rupees 500 crore are categorized as small cap companies, and over 95% of Indian companies are considered as small caps. This type of companies holds a rank above 251 and tends to perform during the initial phase of economic recovery, and the stocks issued by such companies are termed as small cap stocks. Investors who want to generate higher returns from their investments tend to find small cap stocks a suitable option for them. Additionally, individuals who have a high risk tolerance level and can bear exposure to market risk may consider this as an investment option, and these stocks are volatile in nature and are prone to market risk when the market is going through a low phase. However, investors can cushion the risk factor associated with small cap stocks by adding market friendly investments in their portfolio. So here I have shown you one table here. You can see some companies name like Cochin Shipyard, then CCL Products, Home First Finance, SpiceJet, and Engineers India. So I have taken this, fluctuations of the small caps. It is the data for 11:04 a.m. for 2nd June. Now, what are the main features of small cap stocks? Now, individuals who want to invest in small cap stocks should learn that first feature is the volatility. Now, the NAV, that is the net asset value of small cap stocks, tends to be heavily influenced by market fluctuations, making them volatile in nature. For example, these stocks perform well during the high market phase, but tend to underperform when the market is struggling. It's riskier here. Now the risk factor is, yes, the dependencies of small cap stocks on the market makes it susceptible to its fluctuations. Now these stocks are more prone to be affected by the market recession and take time to recover from the same, and this makes small cap stocks a risky investment option. Then small cap shares are counted among the top yielding investment options, and they are considered to have potential to emerge as multi-baggers by yielding over 100% returns. And besides the initial cost of acquiring small cap shares, investors also have to pay an annual charge called the expense ratio. Now the upper limit of the same is 2.5% of the average of AUM. Investors who invest in small cap stocks with the lowest expense ratio would generate better returns from. Individuals can invest small cap stocks in India for both long term as well as short term. However, investors should opt for small cap shares which come with a long investment horizon to spread the risk associated with them and also to generate substantial interest. And the returns generated on the redemption of small cap shares are treated as income under Section 80C. The gains thus generated are subjected to short-term capital gain tax at the rate of 15%, and if the shares were held for less than a year, the gain generated from shares that were held over a year would attract long-term capital gain tax at the rate of 10%. Here with the tax rate, I told you earlier also it's 15% and 10%. Yeah. Now, why we invest in small stocks? Now, there are three compelling reasons why an investor can consider putting their money into a small cap stocks. The reasons can be benefiting from the growth potential of the small companies, then availing quality stocks at lower prices owing to the inefficiencies of the market, and then opportunity to avail small cap shares fair prices which are not influenced by large financial institutions. Then the major advantages are your greater growth potential, because when compared to large cap companies, small cap companies tend to have a better organic growth rate. So unlike them, small cap companies have a greater potential to grow and acquire capital in due time, and this particular aspect works in favor of small cap stocks and enhances their growth potential to a significant extent. Then fairly priced is the another advantage. Because when it comes to investing in best small cap stocks, it directly respects their power to push the stock price upwards. So this offers small investors advantage over institutional investors and allows them to avail small cap shares at fair prices. Then another advantage is the low priced quality stocks. So these are the major advantages, because investors can benefit from such inefficiencies with a little research and market valuation by acquiring quality stocks that are being offered at a lower price. Now, when we're talking about the associated risk with investing in small cap stocks, these are like, it is susceptible to market risk which can only be cushioned in the long term through proper asset allocation and portfolio balancing. Then it offers comparatively less liquidity to the investors and makes the process of sale cumbersome. Now it requires time and research to determine their effectiveness as an investment avenue. And though small cap stocks generate better returns, they come with a significant risk burden. So risk-averse individuals or conservative investors would not be suited for such investment options, and they should also understand that they cannot avail the benefits of availing higher returns through small caps. Then another is the mid cap. It is an approximate term that encapsulate companies and stocks which fall in between large cap and small cap category. On the classification of respective company stocks depends on its market capitalization, which we have already discussed, and such classification is variable and can change with the change in a company's market valuation. Now the term market capitalization is reckoned with the help of a company's outstanding number of shares and the value of each share. So this is the table. You can we can say that if we are talking about the large cap companies, mid cap companies and small cap companies on the basis of the market capitalization, we can say that market capitalization when it is above 20,000 crore it will come under large cap companies. When it is between 5,000 to 20,000 crore, it will be termed as mid cap, and when it is below 5,000 crore, then it is a small cap companies. So the classification is also subject to companies rank in the benchmark indices like Nifty, Sensex. So for example, the companies which are listed from 101 to 215 Nifty index are generally considered mid cap companies. And Nifty also has a benchmark mid cap index in India called Nifty Mid Cap 50, which hosts the top 50 most traded mid cap securities in the market. Now, again, I have shown you some data of the companies. It was taken at 11:10 a.m. on 2nd June. There are some mid cap stocks. You can see Bata India, Mahindra and Mahindra Financial Services, then Alkali Amines Chemical, Natco Pharma, and JSW Energy. Now, when we're talking about the features of mid-cap, first of all, the diversity, as mid-cap shares lie on a broad spectrum, ordering both small cap and large cap stocks. These shares vary in terms of returns and risk entail. So some mid-cap companies might be nearing developmental stage and thus might offer greater stability instead of returns, whereas some companies might have recently graduated from small cap and therefore allow greater returns compared to stability. Then the chance of growth is high for the mid-cap companies because they have a high potential to enhance their profitability, productivity, and market share. Then compared to small cap stocks, these stocks respond with lower intensity to market volatility. Yeah, in comparison to large cap stocks, they offer less stability during market contraction or bearish market, but it is better than small stocks. Then mid-cap stocks are relatively liquid compared to small cap stocks. Companies with such stocks are well known and investors can trust their shares, so it becomes easier to find buyers during a sale at a fair price. Then the reasons: in the past few years, mid-cap stocks have performed significantly better than both large cap stocks and small cap stocks. So given their advantageous position in the stock market, where they can exploit the best of both ends, that is risk moderation and substantial returns, they have become a favorite of seasoned investors and they aid in diversifying an investment portfolio. Then including them in your portfolio includes number of advantages like ease of growth, then return potential, then less analyst, considerable information is there for these stocks. When we're talking about the risk associated with mid-cap stocks, now a company's graduation from small cap in most cases attests to its growing profitability and productivity, but until it reaches the large cap tier, thereby increasing both the components of returns, dividends, and value appreciation. However, this condition might not apply to every company falling under the mid-cap index in India, but still a few risks associated are like value trap. It is when a company consistently operates in low profits with limited cash flow and cannot break through the phase. So these companies, especially the low-ranking ones, are prone to value trap and might go defunct if the trend continues for a longer period. Then inadequate resources, then effect of a financial bubble. Most of these companies, however, do not have the financial fortitude to withstand when the bubble pops. Therefore, when sourcing through best mid-cap stocks, ensure to check their financial history pre-bubble to determine their financial fortitude accurately. So when we're talking about some alternative options to mid-cap stocks, it can be your sovereign bonds. Sovereign bonds, I hope everyone knows, these are the bonds issued by government and promise a regular source of income over a fixed period with minimum risk. Then the second is the debt funds. Now these are used to invest in fixed income securities like debentures, bonds, treasury bills, and they provide steady income against comparatively lower risk. Another alternative for mid-cap stocks can be balanced funds. These are used to purchase both stocks and debt instruments, and that's why they diversify the investment portfolio while striking a balance between high returns and mild risk. Then large cap stocks. Now the term large cap, it's basically a measure of quantifying a company's value with the help of the total number of existing shares multiplied by the price of each unit. Large cap stocks are therefore shares issued by a company with large market capitalization. Now, all large cap companies are listed at the top of recognized stock exchange indices around the world. And India's Nifty 50 hosts the top 50 large cap stocks in India, which are the most traded in the stock market. Now, some stocks in this category are also called, yes, the last one what I am telling, that small cap, mid cap and large cap. So there is one category that is your blue chip. These are the leaders of their respective industry or are one of the leading three figures in it. So they have wide market recognition, productivity, and financial soundness, and therefore such stocks are the most sought after stocks in the market. So when we're talking about the features of large cap stocks, it includes moderate returns, then low risk, then when they're talking about the moderate returns, because they have attained financial maturity, they are well established, so their shares value cannot appreciate as much as the values of mid cap and small cap stocks. So returns on such stocks are mainly derived from the dividend component. Then large cap companies have a robust financial infrastructure, fortitude, and soundness. So ergo, large cap shares, they react mildly to market volatility and significantly lowers the risk on such investments, because unlike mid cap and small cap companies, they do not run the risk of dissolution during market contraction and can still afford to continue their business operations. Then another feature is the rich history, because companies in large cap stock list have been in business for a longer period. So they possess a rich operational history accessible to the general public through various means, thus reposing trust. So it can be used by potential investors for analysis as well. Then these stocks are in most cases more expensive than any other investment options. And these are most liquid investment options in the market because of their widespread popularity and readily available buyers. Now, why should one invest in the large cap stocks? First of all, stability, then a regular flow of income, then availability of information is there. So these are the major reasons to invest in large cap stocks. Then yes, few drawbacks are also there, like low capital appreciation. This is one of the major drawbacks. Due to the mild response to market fluctuation, the stock values do not go up as much as mid cap and small cap stocks during the bullish market. It is expensive as well. Then only a handful of large cap companies exist in India after the recent SEBI categorization, so it's rare. And so the main alternative when we are talking about the two large cap stocks is your mid cap stocks. We have already discussed. Then exchange traded funds, then equity funds, then multi-bagger. Multi-baggers are those stocks which provide manifold returns on the capital employed. They are known for their low cost and return in multiples of the investment amount. For example, if investment returns double the investment amount, it is called a double bagger. Now the next is, okay, so here I have concluded with the difference between large cap versus small cap versus mid cap stocks. So first of all, on the basis of market capitalization, when it is above 20,000 crores, it will be termed as large cap. And if the market capitalization is in between rupees 5,000 crores and rupees 20,000 crores, it will fall in the category of mid cap companies. And when the market capitalization is below rupees 5,000 crores, it will fall in the category of small cap companies. Then that is on the basis of market capitalization. Next is on the basis of valuation. So when we're talking about the valuation, again, if valuation below 5,000 crores, small cap. If valuation within 5,000 and 20,000 crore, mid cap, and if valuation above 20,000 crore, it is large cap. Now next is the blue chip stocks. Blue chip stocks are highly priced market stocks with a large market capitalization, which have emerged as a preferred investment option over recent years. The companies that issue blue chip stocks are highly esteemed in the stock exchange market and tend to have a stable financial record or credibility. So besides their repute, the fact such companies extend attractive dividend payouts can be credited for the growing popularity of the said stock, and individuals can invest in blue chip stocks in India either directly or through mutual funds. Now the features mainly comprised of assured returns, because blue chip stocks generate returns quarterly in the form of dividends, and the fact that companies that are well established also serve as a safe investment avenue for most investors. So with this safety comes the assurance of earning steady but guaranteed returns. Then blue chip companies have enough capital to clear their financial dues and obligations, so the credit worthiness will be high. Then the risk factor is low because of the good performance. Then investment horizon, if we are talking about, then the term of investment is usually over 7 years, and such extended term markets makes blue chip suitable for achieving long-term.
Dear participant, just wait for a moment. I think so there is some issue at the ma'am's end. We'll just sort out and get back to you within a few minutes.
Okay, now am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think people have missed about the blue chip stocks. So I am explaining the blue chip stocks again. These are highly priced market stocks with large market capitalization. And the companies that issue blue chip stocks are highly esteemed in the stock exchange market and tend to have a stable financial record and credibility. And besides their repute, the fact that such companies extend attractive dividend payouts that can be credited for the growing popularity of in India, either directly or through mutual funds quarterly in the form of dividends, and the fact investment avenue for most investors. Very low investment horizon is usually over 7 years for blue chip, and such extended term makes blue chip suitable for achieving long-term financial goals and owing to its long investment horizon. Then the growth prospects are very good in blue chip company. And when we are talking about the taxation, so the gains generated through blue chip shares in India are treated as income under Section 80C of the Income Tax Act. We have already discussed about the rate of income tax here. So the short-term capital gains are subjected to taxation at the rate of 15%. However, the long-term capital gains exceeding rupees 1 lakh are subjected to taxation at the rate of 10%. Now, the reasons to invest is yes, because it offers higher returns that are paid quarterly. It facilitates corpus building, portfolio diversification, then cushion the impact of the recession, inflation, and economic stagnation. And owing to their higher price, blue chip shares may not be suitable for small investors. So, advantages major can be the stable and regular dividends provided by the blue chip companies, then opportunity to achieve financial goals, the advantage of portfolio diversification, then liquidity is there. And when we're talking about the alternatives, then owing to their market goodwill and credibility, blue chip shares in India come with a low risk factor, and the low risk burden further makes them suitable for risk averse and conservative investors. However, investors who want to earn greater returns with limited exposure, they can go for real estate, then exchange traded funds, fixed deposits, government bonds, and so on. So basically, blue chip stocks in India are an attractive investment option for individuals who want to generate steady returns over a long period. And however, investors can always explore other investment avenues and enhance the profitability of their investment portfolio. So additionally, they must realize the need to prioritize their financial goals, income, risk appetite before investing in any of the investment options. So guys, this is all the very basics of stocks. So in this session, we have discussed about the small cap company, mid cap company, large cap company, then blue chip stocks. We have discussed in very much detail. We have discussed about the market timings, and then we have discussed about the intraday and delivery transaction, short term, long term IPOs, then your money market, capital market. Then we have discussed about the very, very basics of stock market. We have discussed about the Nifty. We have discussed about Sensex. We have discussed about Muhurat trading. So we have discussed the ways how to start with the trading, about dematerialization, rematerialization. And we have also discussed about taxation. We have discussed difference between investor and the trader. So these are the basic things we have covered in this section, about Nifty, about Sensex. So if you are having any query, you may ask.
The session is open for question and answer.
Ma'am, I have one question.
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, I want to understand that when the stock price of any stock, that who are determining that price? No, the face value of any stock may be 10 rupee, 5 rupee, or 1 rupee, whatever it is,
Yes,
depending on the split and all that. But now that stock price, because of demand and all that, it went up to 500 rupees or 600 rupees. Or
Sir,
you take example.
Sir, the prices of stocks are determined completely by demand and supply, because there are buyers in the market, there are sellers in the market, and it completely depends on the simple law of demand, simple economic function. Then when the buyers are more than sellers in the market, the prices will go up. And when the sellers are higher or more than the buyers in the market, the prices will go down. So it is completely a law of demand, or it's completely based on demand and supply function.
But ma'am, sometimes it's happened that if I compare two companies and their financials and all that, business risks and everything is similar. I'm not saying exactly same. Maybe 1 or 2% difference is there. But sometimes it happens that the stock price of one company is very high, means maybe 20-30% higher than the other company. And both having similar financial on that. Why this happens, ma'am?
Sir, only financial results is not the only parameter to judge any company. Difference between the companies listed on stock market. There are n number of factors. Even when you're talking about the financial, this is only one part of the, only the one parameter which is, helping in analyzing the market. So it is not like that if both the companies are earning 30% profit in the one financial year, that means the share prices will be equal. It's not like that. Number of things, their market capitalization, their what is their subscribed capital, what is their issued capital, what is their paid up capital, how much dividends they are paying, whether they are paying interim dividend as well along with final dividends, and what is the rate of the dividend they are paying. So there are n number of factors beyond this. How much new investment they get into their company. So maybe the investors can see more growth prospects for that particular company. So there are n number of factors which is playing role here in determining the prices. It's not like that only the financial analysis. Even when we do fundamental analysis, even in that case, in doing fundamental analysis of the companies, you have to taken into consider the entire economic analysis we have to do. Then you have to taken into consideration the industry analysis, then company analysis, then n number of things are there. It's not only the financial statements of the companies, it's all about the how many buyers the company is having, how many sellers the company is having, what are the threats to their from substituted products, who are the competitors, then what's about the management and administration, whether it is stable, what about the auditor's report. And now again, auditor's report is not only confined with the financial results, it's all about the operational results as well. Auditors do auditing not only for the financial statements, they do the auditing of management also, of their operationals, of the executions of the management, their quality. So that is only one very, very small part, the financial statement. And fundamental analysis is the another part. Then there are a number of things in the market, any news related to market, any decision, any announcement made by the market, how much dividend, maybe both the companies are having 30% of the profit they have earned in that particular financial year. But it can be happen that one company is not paying any dividend, or very, very less rate of dividend is there, like 2% or 5%. Another company is paying 10% of dividend, and maybe that company is paying dividend at semi-annual or quarter level as well. So n number of factors are there. Now again, the reputation of the company. There are so many startups in the market which we know which are really progressive, but still we are not very much looking for those startups for our investments, because we are not very much comfortable with those names. So reputation and creditworthiness is again very important, which attracts more customers and which ultimately influence the prices of the stock of the particular company. So a number of factors are there for you.
Okay, last question, ma'am. It happens that market capitalization of a company is what are their asset value or their business, what are their business are doing, what are their financials and all that. If a turnover of, I can say TCS is around 90,000 crore or 1 lakh crore, but their market capitalization is 10 lakh crore. So it's all about speculation, or how anybody can justify this?
So it's not only about speculation. Speculation, it's the part when you are doing trading or investments in the market. Yes, most of the things are figured. It's not only speculation. Even if you can see, there are if you are going to see some chart of some company, there are some lines above that particular closing price and below that closing price, which we termed as support and resistance level in financial term. When we're talking about the stock market, the proper term used for that, the support level and resistance level, which we calculated with the help of the indicator termed as Bollinger Bands. So it's all calculation based. First thing, yes, it is moved by the demand and supply, but yes, it's all about the, like if you're talking about the TCS, now during the pandemic, people have done more investments in the pharmaceutical companies, then in the brands like Reliance or so on, because they are bringing more and more foreign institutional investors into their company. So these are the other factors which are affecting. In this pandemic, if you can see, number of pharmaceutical companies are there which are like small cap and they turned into the mid cap or large cap. They have earned so much of profit, and the people who have invested their money in those companies, yes, they have earned a very good returns, like Sun Pharmaceuticals. Number of companies are there. So it is not only, we usually term the stock market with the view of the financial statement. Even in financial statement, it's like balance sheet, then their profit and loss account, then their cash flow statement. Then we should consider statement of changes in equity as well, if any, because it is actually impacting a lot. So, but again, that is the very, very minor part of the security analysis. Here we have to do number of analysis like relative strength analysis, then percent R is there, then moving average convergence and divergence is there, then Bollinger Bands is there, then number of tools are there which we use to analyze the market before doing any investment. So, but we are talking that financial results or financial statements, they constituted a very, very little part. Even we have to consider the rate of return given by the market. What is the market risk premium? Then what is the risk-free rate of interest in the country? And for that, we have to check the 10 years average rate of return for treasury bills, which is governed by Reserve Bank of India. So that is, financial results is a very, very smaller part of analyzing. And with the help of the returns of treasury bills and with the help of the market risk premium, you have to calculate what is the actual returns in the market. With the help of that, we have to calculate systematic and unsystematic risk, which is denoted by beta and alpha respectively. Then after getting the values for beta and alpha, we have to go for capital asset pricing model, or you have to apply Sharpe index model to construct your portfolio. So it's it is completely a very, very different thing. Stock market is, the financial statements constitutes a very, very little part of the stock market. You can do fundamental analysis, and then again, it's a very, a nominal part of the fundamental analysis where you have seen, yes, price earning ratio we consider when we are talking about the fundamental results. So if you ask me, then what should I consider if I'm talking about financial statements of the company? Yes, I will not very much look into their, profit earning procedure or like that. I will definitely look into their price earning ratio. We're talking about the financial statements as well. My first focus will be on their PE ratio. So financial results or financial statements constitute a very, very minor part of the security analysis when we are going to taking the decision whether we should buy a particular share or sell a particular share, or if we are having already bought that particular share, whether we should hold it or sell it. So there are a number of analyses and which you use to calculate. Basically, if you are talking about the analyzing of shares, it's completely calculation based. Nothing is like tukka. No, it's not tukka. It's completely calculation based. Yes, it is dominating by traders. It is dominating specifically for the small cap companies. Big investors usually, manipulate the market easily by putting large bids of offers in the market. Bid is basically when you are going to give some quantity of shares you want to buy. So we termed it as a bid in stock market. And when you are, placing some order to sell the shares you are already having. And in security market, in stock market, we termed it as offer or ask. Clear? So while placing any bid or offer rate, even the small cap companies can be easily manipulated, but financial results are a very, very, small part of the constitution, and it's all calculation based. Each and every chart you can see on any of the portal or any of the financial portal in which you can see the company's charts for their pricing, ups and downs, the volatility. Everything is, calculation based. Yes, we get these closing prices on the basis of demand and supply. And after that, you have to do all the analysis by applying number of indicators, oscillators, formulas. Very big things are there. So financial results doesn't constitute more than 2 or 3% part of the analysis for any stock to consider.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any question?
Yes, hello ma'am, I'm Shubhangi. Ma'am, I'm never use I'm never trade in stock market. So for beginner, in which company should I invest?
This is the most common question everyone asks me, that where to invest, in which company we have to invest. Guys, before investment, it's not like that someone tell you that this company is good and this company is bad and you are investing that, no one can take the guarantee of that. So before entering into stock market, you must learn some basic concept. Like first of all, you must learn how to calculate risk of a particular script. Even if you are talking about TCS or Tata Motors, sir just said, so you have to check the risk of that. There are two types of risk: systematic and unsystematic risk. So with the help of portfolio construction, by diversifying your investments into various shares, you can control unsystematic risk, but you can't control systematic risk. So it is very much important to check the beta value. Nowadays, it is very easy to get the beta value because you don't need to do all the calculation. You can simply check their details overview, and in that you will get the beta value of that share. Then with the help of beta value, you have to check whether that the particular stock is really good for your investment purpose or not. If you are asking me, yes, there is one indicator of stock market, that is RSI, Relative Strength Index. So I am much relying on that. I have done number of researches based on RSI since 2013 and 14, and 90% of the times, rather more than 90% of the times, the results are exact. That RSI tool helps in getting, RSI is the one of the most important indicator used in technical analysis, which helps us in taking decision whether we should buy that particular share or we should sell it or we should hold it. So if you ask me, I will not tell you that this company is good, this company is bad. I will recommend you to learn few basics of analysis and then to trade on your own. You can start with a very, very, small amount. You can start with even 1,000 rupees. Not a big deal. And then you can invest 1,000, you learn the concepts, you learn the analysis, and then you can increase the part of your investment. I'm not saying starting with 1,50,000, 10,000, simply 1,000 rupees. And even in that 1,000 rupees, do not purchase all the shares of one company. I will not recommend that. You can do that in 1,000, you can divide that 1,000 into 5 parts or 4 parts of 200 each or 250 each respectively. And you can select 3 or 4 companies or 5 companies to do investments. So it will help you in analyzing, it will help you in your learning, in enhancing your learning of various indicators, tools and analysis, and that will definitely help you in growing your portfolio as well and to earn very good returns in the market. This pandemic really gives a very good time for the investors, for the beginners who really wanted to invest, because all these scripts were down. I'm not talking about today's scenario. Today the market is good. It's at bullish condition. But yes, there are few months during the last 24 or during the last 12 months, there are few weeks when the market was really in a bearish condition. Even 15 days back, the market was in a bearish condition. Today, the Nifty and the Sensex value is showing a good jump. Even the Reliance, if we are talking about Reliance, is right now at around 2,200 or something. And few days back, even I'm not talking about the weeks, few days back, it was in the value of 1,900 something. And right now it's 200 plus. And if you're talking about a month back scenario, it was into 1800 scenario. 1800, it's like 1,870 or 1,880 band. So this is the good time. You can see, I have seen number of people who get motivated after the sessions and they started investments and they, really ignore the market timing. And here I'm not talking about the market timing, which we have discussed in our session. That's a market timing for trading hours. I'm talking market time with regard to the risk level. Like, for example, today the market is at a very good point. It is gaining, it is at plus position, bullish position. So this is not the right time to enter the market. You must enter the market when it is in the very normal condition or in a bearish form, when the market is declining. So, but I am talking about the RSI tool, the RSI analysis indicator. That is the indicator which gives us two values while calculation. The value lies between 1 to 100. So it gives us very clear indication then that it is the value comes around 30 or below 30, then it is showing a oversold zones and it will give us the indication of buying the securities. Similarly, if it is goes towards 70 or above 70, it shows the overbought zone and we should sell at that time. And then there is a condition, and if it is between 40 to 60, then we should hold the market at that time. Clear? So before entering the market, please learn some basics. Don't just go on someone else, advices. It's not safe. You are investing your money. It's not safe. Learn few basics. Start with even 500 rupees. Leave 1000. Start with 500 rupees. There are number of small cap companies which are trading on a very, very low price. The market, there are number of companies whose market price even today is 10 rupees, 12 rupees, 15 rupees. So you can start with those companies just for your learning purpose. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome.
Is there any questions?
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon. Myself Shubham Wankede. Ma'am, actually, I want to know what will be the situation if I invest post COVID-19. Since market literally depends upon prediction of market structure. So
No, yes. These things are actually affecting the market. But if you're asking me the condition about the post COVID-19, even if you have, analyzed the market when the news of vaccination came, the market jumps. When the government started with vaccination, again the market jumps. So when you're talking about the, you can say post COVID-19 scenario, I think you can start analyzing the market from now. Because if you're waiting for another 6 months, when the country is completely free from this pandemic, the market will again be in bullish condition, because from the long time it is in the bearish condition. So there are scenarios when market, because till the time, since we are getting the news that the cases of COVID is declining, the market is actually going into a bullish condition. It is showing the upward sign. So don't wait for another 6 months. At least start analyzing from now. It's never late to invest in markets, and it's never early to invest in markets. Okay.
okay, thank you, ma'am. And ma'am, when we receive any dividend, is it taxable?
No, it completely depends. Dividend is not taxable as such, but completely depends that how much dividend you are getting. If you are earning it, there is a basically limit, like 1 lakh. Like in the case of bank account, the savings interest should not be more than 10,000. If it is more than 10,000, then you have to pay the income tax. In the same way, here it is, the value is the 1 lakh. Beyond that, you have to pay the tax. I can see one more question in the chat box. One of the student or one of the participant has asked whether it is good to target Nifty in the beginning. Yes, because I always recommend you people to start with the NSE Nifty stocks as compared to Sensex stocks. Reason being that BSE is a highly volatile market as compared to NSE. Obviously, if the stock is showing good fluctuations in BSE, then obviously a same amount of fluctuation can be seen in the National Stock Exchange, but still NSE shows you some safer, stocks with less fluctuations. So it is advisable, yes, in that case, that you can look upon the companies from the Nifty index, from the top 50, you can search, you can shortlist. Yes, but if you're going to maintain your portfolio, don't put like HDFC Bank, SBI Bank, PNB Bank. Don't do that. Try to diversify your portfolio. Don't keep all eggs in one basket. Now you will ask, ma'am, there is no one basket. We are investing in 3 different banks. No, but the sector is one. So it is always good, always advisable to invest in different sectors as well. Okay? Like you can choose one company from banking sector, one from pharma, one from telecom, one from IT, one from FMCG, one from steel. Clear? So in that way, you can diversify from different indexes, from different sectors. Don't select all the companies from a 1 or 2 sector and then you can say that we have selected 10 companies and we have diversified. That is not diversification. Clear with this? Welcome, Bharat. It's my pleasure. Any other query?
There is no query, ma'am. Okay. I, Dr. Tushar Chawle, deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of Management Studies to one of the learned professor, Dr. Isha Jain ma'am. We are very much thankful to ma'am for explaining one of the complex subject in simple and lucid language. Your words of wisdom will definitely help our participant to act on particularly and get benefited. Your presence has been a source of guidance and inspiration for us. We definitely expect your guidance and support in the future also. I also thank all the participants for accepting our invitation and present for the today's webinar from their BD schedule. I mention my deepest sense of appreciation and would place on record my heartily thanks to all the staff members and students because of whom we were able to make this webinar possible. And the success of completion of this webinar owes much to the guidance and support of our chairman, Honorable Dr. Sandeep Kumar Jha sir, Principal Dr. S.T. Gandhi sir, and our beloved HOD, Dr. Rakesh Patil sir. Thank you. Thanks once again. And here I conclude that the session is over. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
much, sir.
participants.
Yeah. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
sir,
much, ma'am.
coordinating the session. That
Okay,
was
thank you, madam.
cool, and thanks,
Yeah.
Professor Patil, for the invitation.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you so
Ma'am,
much.
can I have your mail ID, ma'am?
Yeah, my email ID is dr.ishajain1985@gmail.com. Let me share just a second. So that's my email ID. It's dr.ishajain1985@gmail.com.
Where do you mention, ma'am?
Sir, I have shown you on the screen as well. It's on the title slide. dr.ishajain1985@gmail.com. Isha with E, not I.
Just told me. I could not see that. Just told me.
Okay, it's dr.ishajain1985@gmail.com.
Sure. Jen.
I can do one thing. I will type in the chat box here.
Please, ma'am. Please.
Okay. I am unable to see the chat box. Just a second.
I am also not able to see the channels.